Namaste and howdy. I am an Indian American. I was born in Louisville, Texas, but I have been raised as an Indian throughout my life. For me, both cultures have been extremely prominent in my life. One of the biggest disruptions in my life has come from language. I know three Indian languages: Sanskrit, Hindi, and Tamil, which is my mother tongue. And when people learn that I know two or three different languages, they're always asking me, can you say something in your own language? And invariably, I forget the entire language except for one word, Garde. And what does that mean, you ask? Garde means a donkey. And I probably know that because my mom uses it all the time. However, a dilemma occurs. Whenever someone asks me to say something in my language, which language am I supposed to choose? How am I supposed to choose one language when each of them make up the fabric of my identity? I've faced a lot of challenges in life, not just linguistically, but socially as well. Some of these disruptions include my religion, my food, my fashion, sleepovers, and dating. Being raised within the confines of a predominantly Christian town, my religion is probably one of the most biggest disruptions. I am a Hindu, and I am proud of it. My parents are active at our neighborhood temple. I love singing Indian classical music. I pray every morning before I head off to school. However, as a youngin', I was always confused on why my friends and I practiced different religions. Every Sundays, my dad used to teach me about our religion, so one day I asked him about these different religions, and what he taught me stuck with me. He asked me to consider religion as a path to a final destination. To make it easier for my 6-year-old brain, he asked me to consider how I travel to school. He then asked me to think of how my best friend travels to school. Does that make one path better than the other? No. All that matters is that we are trying to reach school. He implored me to think of religion as the same concept. Everybody has their own faith system. They believe in what they want to believe in. But does that make one person's religion better than another person's? No. Everybody is trying to attain some form of an afterlife. That is all that matters. Along with religion, another big disruption is my food. I love Indian food. We use a multitude of spices, like cumin and turmeric, and even asafoetida. And some of us don't eat meat, including me. Growing up, I only ate Indian food. That is all my mom knew. Well, still the only thing she knows how to cook. Indian food was extremely prominent in my life, and I used to bring it every day to kindergarten. Being a little kid, I naturally was apprehensive about what my peers would say. And there was this one kid who was not the biggest fan of my food. And unfortunately, the dude was assigned to sit right next to me. So one day, I bring my food to school, and I'm so excited to eat it, so I open my thermos, and I'm about to take a big bite when I hear, "Ew, your food stinks!" My excitement transformed into humiliation. I had never had anybody talk so negatively about something that was so near and dear to me. Soon after that, I stopped bringing Indian food to school, and I brought sandwiches instead. But at 3 o'clock, once I came home from school, I'd be asking my mom, "Mommy, what did you cook for lunch today?" Soon my mom realized that I needed something more filling to school, so I started bringing my Indian food back. Before you know it, that kid started piping up again with, "Ew, your food stinks," or even, "Ugh, how do you even eat that?" I got fed up, And that happened to be the day when he brought a can of tuna to school. So I open my lunch, and then he starts with this rant. Then I turn, look at him, and go, "Ew, your food stinks. How do you even eat that?" Man, the look on his face. After that, he never dared attack my food ever again. Looking back, that probably was not the most mature thing to do, but it did teach me a valuable lesson on embracing my culture even when it is deemed weird or gross. Another considerable disruption in my life came from fashion. I adore traditional Indian attire, but unlike my mom, I do not wear it to school every day. Though I am more prone to wear simple jeans and a t-shirt, I actually do wear something Indian every day to school. This dot on my forehead called a bindi. Think of the bindi as a symbol for a married woman back in the old days, or like a wedding ring for the women. But soon little girls wanted to be exactly like their moms, so they would try and copy them. And that way, bindis just became commonplace in Indian society, and every girl used to wear them. I love wearing my bindi. I do get questions asking about what that dot on my forehead is, and I love explaining it to anybody who asks. Yes, sometimes it is too much, there are too many questions, and sometimes it may provoke too many stares. And sometimes it just may be easier to dress with the status quo. But I love my bindi because I feel it makes me uniquely me. Like my uncommon religion and sense of fashion, my friends are always shocked to discover that sleepovers have always been controversial in our house. My parents never grew up with the concept of a sleepover. So when it came time for my friends to invite me to their own little parties, I would always have to respond with a no. And that used to hurt me a lot. I would continuously beg my mother, please, please just let me go to this one sleepover, but I would always get that big, fat no. One time, I threw a temper tantrum to rival that of a 5-year-old, just so my mom would let me go to a sleepover at my best friend's house. And that is when she finally explained it to me. In Indian culture, there was never such a thing as a sleepover. You could go to a friend's house if you wanted. You could party with your friend if you wanted. You could stay the whole day with your friend if you wanted. But at the end of the day, at night, you would have to come back home and sleep in your own bed for the night. Simply, the parents just wanted to know that you were safe. After my parents explained that to me, well, not without a lot of screaming and sobbing and yelling and crying, I had finally understood their view. I had only seen it through my perspective, through my humiliation, when every time at 10 o'clock I would have to go home just as everybody else would be rolling out their sleeping bags. But I have learned now to respect my values enough that I willingly abide by them now. So maybe that way, my values did disrupt my norm. Lastly, and possibly the most considerable division between Indian and American cultures is dating. Oh boy. As a 15-year-old, this issue is extremely prevalent to me right now. Just the other day, I was squealing with my friend over how her boyfriend is the best boyfriend in the world. Everybody is flirting, dating, and planning a future with a significant other, except for me. Dating has never really been in traditional Indian society, except for modern society. Right now, I am not focused on a relationship. Right now, my focus is on my education, building up that foundation before I am picked up and dropped into the world. Maybe later in life I will date, but right now that is not my priority, as my Indian heritage has never emphasized it to be. Another prominent dating issue is marriages. In most people in American societies, they marry for love. However, my parents were married through an arranged marriage. And ever since I was little, my parents have always told me the only way I am going to meet my future husband is once my parents have selected him for me. To my friends, they can't even fathom the thought of their parents picking out whom they have to marry. So now I like to tell my parents, you may pick out who I have to marry, but I get the final say. Perhaps this is a bit of my Americanness coming out of me. As a young Indian American, I was confused how to balance these two different ideals. To me, it didn't seem like I could embrace one without wholly losing the other. But as I mature, balancing these two different ideals slowly become easier. Yes, it is still disruptive, not only to me, but to my friends and to the society. But I know now that not everybody's going to have the same culture as me. And I do feel it makes us more accepting of others, just like me, who walk that tightrope between two different worlds. Take my best friend, for example. She's half Mexican and half white, and our cultures couldn't be even more different. She loves to wear dresses and the high school band shirts. Her family's not too religious. She eats all the foods in the world, as long as it's good. And she hosts countless sleepovers. But she is my best friend because she understands and accepts me. This Nimisha, this crazy teenager, this super Indian girl, this super American girl. That is all I could ask, that this disruptive innovation does disrupt our world, not in a way that is jarring or negative, but in a positive way, in a way that fosters sweet chaos, in a way that helps improve our society, in a way that changes our world. Thank you.